All right, hello. Welcome to the Friday, or in this case, Thursday afternoon um, live stream, open studio design session. There's nobody on right now, but if you're watching this at a later date, the point of these is to kind of just provide an environment, via the internet, um, that's conducive to kind of just creativity and um, design and things like that. So the point is to not necessarily watch this and just watch my builds and things like that. The point is really to work on your own projects in tandem with something in the background, I guess. And hopefully that creates this environment where you can work on your projects, I can work on my projects. If you want to talk or anything, you can use the chat. I see there are several people commenting in the chat. um, Ivan Gonzalez says hi yo, hello. Cav says hey. And then I'm a small creator, right? It's not a big channel, but hopefully this is nice for people who have this common interest. So I'm gonna go get what we were working on last week, um, and I'll be right back. It'll be like a quick second. All right, so last week we were in the middle of working on our new plane here. This is not a plane, it's a cutting board. It's a useful tool. We were working on the X47B. The A variant is actually quite different. If you go ahead and search it online, um, it is a very different aircraft compared to this. This is, the design of this is based in real life, based on the Navy UCAV design from Northrop Grumman. Um, it's a pretty interesting design. It's like a flying wing, right? As you can tell, there's no distinct fuselage. It's kind of all blended in together. And the reason I'm doing this is just to have like a plane that can fly. And it's like kind of a beater plane, I guess. This design actually flies quite well, especially if you give it some weight, and then also this airfoil profile. And so basically last time was the second time I worked on this in an open studio session. What we did last time was just kind of integrate the wings with the fuselage. We also incorporated some structure on the inside. Right, so this is the top actually, and then this is the bottom. So we were actually having some concerns last time with just how the plane is going to look when it's finished. So today we're probably going to finish off, molding the fuselage, right? And then it should be a relatively quick build. I'm not sure if I'll get through it completely today, but essentially all we have to do is close out the fuselage, build a handle, right? Build 2 vertical stabilizers, and we should be all set after that. So I think I saw somebody's chat. Been watching your videos, really inspiring. Thanks, Ivan. It's really kind of you. And yeah, that's kind of my goal with this entire channel, actually, is just to inspire people to create their own designs and go out and make stuff, just make something beautiful. Because, it's like 2020 has been a crazy year, right? I'm sure you guys have all listened in on the current events and whatnot situation in the world. And, to be able to make somebody's day better, right? To inspire somebody, to make them go out and create something great. That's the ultimate goal here, right? Is to become kind of a force multiplier, not necessarily, just create everything for everyone that you can just, make plans and then print out and make. But, the spirit behind all of this is to make other people go out and build their own paper aircraft and whatnot, right? And so I think I saw another comment too. So Cav says, are you planning on making planes like the 777 or just fighter jets? That's an interesting question. I don't think I've actually made a lot of commercial aircraft. Um, and part of that is kind of due to the fact that, what inspired me in the first place to really pursue, um, this isn't only my, interest. This is like my career choice is in the aerospace industry. So, what inspired me was going to air shows and seeing these, jets fly and go really fast, right? I mean, of course, like I still love like commercial airplanes because most of my job revolves around that. Um, Actually, all of my job revolves around that. I work on the GTF engines for the A220 and A320, so Airbus planes, mostly, and then the Embraer E190 and E175. So their new class of engines, they're pretty neat. 16% fuel efficiency improvement. But yeah, that's my real life job. So but yeah, back to that point. I'm not sure actually. You know, commercial airplanes, they're nice and all, but they're quite conservative when it comes to design, right? There's not a lot of room for I guess interesting things. And generally speaking, I feel like people are more drawn to fighter aircraft, but I can definitely see the case for a like a commercial aircraft, because if you guys are subscribed to Rami RC, he has a great channel. He builds RC aircraft, right? He recently built the A350. I highly recommend go checking it out. It's really really cool. It's completely made out of carbon fiber, and he has this attention to detail is just absolutely amazing. And I wish to reach his level one day, but right now I'm in an apartment, so I don't really have all the tools to do any of that. That's why I'm just sticking to this scale of aircraft, so I can keep on making improvements and really hone in on my craft. um, Ivan says maybe something retro. I've thought about it. I kind of actually, after this project, I want to kind of go back to some of my earlier projects. If you look on my channel, like years ago, this has been many years in the making. This channel, many years ago, actually used to make real life aircraft, right? So like things like the F-15, right, and then F-22, and then the Sukhois. But those aren't really retro per se, right? I think um, maybe retro has this connotation of like Vietnam War era, like F4 Phantoms, and maybe even around that era, basically like the Starfighter F-104. Um, and that might actually be interesting. I might actually do that because those are still kind of like fighter jets, but those are like, generation 3, 2.5, 3-ish, um, 3.5 kind of aircraft, right? Um, so those are very interesting airplanes, I feel like, and I think I will actually do a project for that after this one. This one's relatively simple, so hopefully we were able to finish that today. But definitely want to revisit those interesting, 70s, 80s aircraft even, right? The F-16 Vista, F-16 XL. I've never actually made paper planes of those, and I don't think many people out there have made, models of those that actually flew. At least not in paper form, maybe in RC form, but definitely want to explore some of that design legacy, right? Like the F-15, for example, has this active configuration, right? It's SMTD or something. It's like short takeoff demonstrator, um, right? It's a F-15 basically with a canard system attached to like the front of the plane, and then the engines, which are PW Engines, which I work at the company, which makes that the engines for the F-15. It has thrust vectoring, so it's a really interesting era. Um, yeah, stick more control surfaces on it, Ivan. Yep, that's the idea, right? Just I don't know, for this plane at least, right? Continue adding control surfaces and structure. But yeah, nice looking bird. Thanks. Thanks for watching these streams and videos and keeping in touch. This one is beautiful. Thanks, man. It's really not my design. I'm just making something based on real life, but thanks. So with that said, I think we're just gonna dive in and start working on this today. Hopefully my phone doesn't overheat, but it is a very warm day. So if it does overheat and the stream is disconnected, hang in there. I will be right back, right? You know the drill, kind of. And that's just the limitation of the technology that I have. So just have to deal with that. Just take a sip of water real quick. All right, so today we want to really finish off this fuselage. This has been, I guess, the most difficult part about this entire thing is this design in real life has a lot of really interesting curves. It's really elegant. If you look at the design in real life, it's like a normal distribution kind of curve, you know, it tapers out, right? And so kind of what I'm kind of worried about right now is this wing is like super thin. It doesn't look proportional to the rest of the plane, but we'll see what we come up with. But yeah, even if this doesn't look great, it's really meant to fly. This isn't meant to be a model per se. If it were a model, I probably actually, now that I know what this looks like, I might actually go back to just to using straw for the leading edge for the spar inside. Because right now it's wooden spar. It's basically a popsicle stick inside, right? It makes it incredibly stiff, incredibly durable, but it's really, it looks kind of weird, right? Because it's just really super thin here, and the fuselage is so thick. Maybe I can change the straws, but I feel like that wouldn't be proportional to the actual dimensions. So in the future, I might actually just stick with straw for this design at least. Not necessarily my other designs. This plane doesn't fly supersonic to my knowledge, which is why the wing section is also a little bit thicker, a little more curvy than, say, like a F-16 or something, right? Those are like really sharp leading edges, and they actually have slat systems so that, you know, the air doesn't separate. So it's yeah, so this is a little bit concerning, but we'll see how that goes. Really just got to finish off the fuselage. So to do that, I think I'm going to start with creating like a template, right? So just like my past videos or past 5 streams, we create templates so that we have kind of a record of what we made, the part that we made, right? And then the templates are also used to transfer the shapes onto cardstock, right? So you want to be able to prototype efficiently, so that's why I used printer paper, right? This is cheap. This stuff is cheap, and there's a lot of it. But cardstock is a little bit more expensive, right? 50 sheets for approximately $4, $4 to $5. So you want to really prototype the shape itself with a cheaper thing, right? And that's printer paper. And once you're done with that, you can transfer the, you know, the pattern from printer paper to actual cardstock, which is what the parts are made out of. And that's just to be efficient in your designing and building. So right now, I think I'm going to, well, so right now we want to cover this middle part. and we want to do it reasonably well. I'm also thinking about this, right? So if we know the general dimension of this, we can actually just create a rectangle and then just put it on and then fold it over. And that's actually relatively simple compared to making a template. Because in this case, we don't have a specific geometry that we want to keep, right? We can just wrap it, wrap a rectangle across this and then call it a day. So we don't actually need to make a template in this case, but for things like vertical stabilizers, right, where there's a defined shape, you definitely want to create a template for that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take a measurement, right, of this. This is approximately the length of this ruler. It's not very precise. So if we do it like this, it's 6.5. 6.5 inches by, let's say, I don't know, 1.5. 1.5 seems a little bit large, but we can always trim down. So let's actually do that. 1.5 by 6.5. All right, so can't use the centimeter ruler. Benjamin Rogers says, I love VX47. Me too, dude. Me too. All right. My phone overheated, so that's that. You know the drill. I apologize for... Yep, I am back. Ivan, yep. LVX47B. All right, sorry for that interruption. Yeah, it's really annoying. I really don't know how to solve this problem, but it is what it is. And we're just gonna hope for the best. It's getting really warm nowadays, right? Today it is, let's see, just switching my watch face real quick. It is 80 degrees. 80 degrees outside. That is pretty hot. Yeah, it's just, the conditions that I can't control. So we're not really gonna dwell too much on that. Let's just keep on going, right? 1.5 by 6. It's or by 6.5, right? So just gotta draw a line here, right? Just mark 0.6.5 inches. Okay, so that's about 6.5 right there. And now I don't really have a square, right? You're really supposed to use a square for this, but since we're dealing with such small distances, I could just use one edge of the ruler, right? This bottom edge, or this edge right here, to line up with this to get a right angle. But yeah, you do want to use geometry wherever possible, right? To make this line parallel to this line, you need to make this measurement the same as this measurement, right? That's just how geometry works. So you just need to do 1.5 here and mark that, and just keep that there, and then draw a line like that, and you're all set. And I am going to have to cut this out, but as you saw earlier, I do have a cutting board, so this will speed up the process a little bit. Right, it's a little bit faster than using scissors, which I also do have right here, but off screen. So just gonna flip this up, move the cutter over. Actually gonna line this up right here, and so there's that. And then just line it up here. Right, press down and slice. And the other side right here should just be a simple cut with a pair of scissors. All right, and that's that. This is all we needed. This little rectangular part, right? That was pretty quick. And then now, as you can see, we can cover this area and smooth that fuselage part out. Just gonna move this a little bit closer to me. Just checking for any comments. Yep. All right, so we might actually need one on the bottom as well. I'm not sure. I think so. I think we do need one on the bottom. Also, the bottom, you know, like we should make like a handle for this. So might not actually have to cover this yet, but let's see. Yeah, the top definitely, you know, I'm not sure how to complete it because it's not symmetric, right, in terms of thickness as the bottom. I mean, it is, but it's just like the distribution, right? This is a lot shallower of an angle compared to this. So I'm wondering if I should stick something in between or if I should build on top of this layer. I'm probably gonna have to build on top because this isn't a stable platform, right, to build on immediately. So I'm gonna use this and cover that. Recently bought a lot of new materials, so that should be exciting. How many rolls is this? This is all the tape that I got. I got 24 rolls of it. So this should last me a long time. Just putting it to the side right here. I also got a bunch of new tools. I got a wire cutter and a bunch of 16 gauge stainless steel wire. So that should be pretty interesting because I can create new structures with that. But, you know, I also want to limit the use of that, right? I want to stick with materials that are readily available to everybody. So I'm going to try not to use those, but I might just, you know, try it once in a while. I also got aluminum tape, which is really neat. It's a very interesting material. You know, it's just aluminum, but it's shiny and, you know, like I'm tempted to like just layer everything on a future prototype with aluminum tape and see how it works. It's probably not going to be very durable, but at least it'll look really interesting. So yeah, anyways, I got off on a tangent there, but I'm just going to grab some tape and just tape this, right? So the way we're going to do that is just move this ruler out of the way real quick. Move these pieces of cardstock to the side. Get some working space here. Right, so take a piece of tape and we're just gonna try and get it to be the full length here. Yep, it's approximately the length we need. And we are going to tape. Yeah, there's a lot of dust in the air, which is unfortunate, but shouldn't affect us too much. It's just a little bit of dust in between the tape and the paper. All right, so we're gonna put half the tape on the piece, half of it off, right? Like we usually do. Try and line this up down the middle. This isn't really precise, right? If you wanted to get really precise, you could measure out half, you know, exactly, you know, 1/2 here. But since we're doing a quick build for something that will probably be flown and damaged anyway, we're just eyeballing it. And I have a lot of experience in the art of eyeballing, so I feel comfortable doing this. But yeah, that's one side down. and then we get the other side. Just trying to use this as a measuring device. Right. Just rip that down. Right. All right, and there we go. We have our second piece of tape. All right, and so this is actually interesting because the situation differs and varies each time you do this. So you just kind of have to play by feel, I guess, when it comes to surface molding and surface modeling. So as you can see, this isn't really symmetric, unfortunately, but shouldn't matter too much. I think it's still gonna fly, hopefully. But yeah, the front is probably more important, so I'm gonna do that first. Right, you just fold this extra bit here over onto the bottom side. Same thing with this. This is gonna be a super, really tough tip here. Right, actually, let's just, I think we might need something to cover this. I'm not sure. But this is interesting. Look, we have a concave curve here. That's that's actually kind of reflective of the true design, but to see. With the back here, we can do the same thing, but I think in this case I'm gonna cut it just to to simplify things, right? Right, so that's that. Just gonna take these scrap pieces and put them off to the side. Ah, shit. Got stuck. There we go. We're all set there. This we can just tape shut. On the real plane, there are stealth nozzles. Right, the nozzles are integrated really nicely into the aft portion of the aircraft. It's really well designed, in my opinion. It's to lower radar signature, right? Just to like dissipate heat a little better, but it looks cool in the process of doing what it's designed to do. I'm just gonna take this down. Yeah, so this is interesting, right? There's some warping going on here, which is I'm not sure how to solve that. Can't really solve that problem because paper is an interesting material. It doesn't like to fold in two directions at the same time, like fabric or sheet metal even, you know. It only really likes to fold in one direction. Can't really form it into a specific shape. Might have to relieve some pressure here by I don't know which one I'm gonna slice, but I'm not sure if this will affect the flight performance either. It definitely will, but how much, right? It's always a question of how much is it gonna affect it. Alright. So now I'm just trying to see how how I can make this a little bit better, right? Because this is warped. I am not sure how to fix that, but you know, it's it is what it is. Shouldn't be affected too badly, I feel like. Just really crushing this in a little bit, seeing how that works out. I'm gonna potentially slice off this and this. I'm gonna try that. It doesn't hurt to try. Right, worst comes to worst, we'll just tape it back together. Add a little bit of weight. Okay, so this is interesting. It's not cutting through easily. Just kind of doing some minor surgery here to get it to work. All right, now that we have that squished down flat, I'll try taping it again. See how that does. That doesn't do anything. I'll just remove this piece of tape, but I have a feeling it's gonna do something. Okay, it's a little bit better. It's not great. Yeah, it's still not perfect because this, you know, it's bending this way, right? Paper is bending this way and it's trying to bend this way at the same time, and that's why it's, you know, kind of buckling and causing all these issues. But I think this is okay. It's not ideal, but I'm just gonna have to live with it. It's just a limitation of this material. I'm not sure how to work around that. I know, like, there are other creators out there that use relief cuts, kind of just like, you know, cutting the cardstock here itself to make it be able to bend, but that's kind of like finicky. I did that for Rapid Prototype 004, which I have right here. Let me get it. Right. So the nose of this aircraft is done that way, and it's able to be folded in this weird shape. And it's not great, right? It's not the smoothest shape, but it is able to fold in this shape because I made some relief cuts when folding around this, right? So that's just part of how it goes. I still have to make a video for this. I wasn't able to do that last weekend, unfortunately, but it is a work in progress. I need to make a video for this and a flight test video, so I will work on that. But this is the new generation of the X-47 that we're working on, and it looks okay. We might actually have to surface model more on top of this to really get it to work. On the bottom here, I'm gonna just finish off this panel piece right here, which is open. This will close it off and make it a little bit more secure. Definitely probably need some more tape here on the leading edge to cover this wing root area, which is open. But for now, we're just gonna trim off some excess here, right? Just clean that up. There's also a little bit here. Just gonna clean that up. Yeah, these little pieces of tape, you want to make sure they don't get in your way. So I'm move them off the mat. Yeah, so that's the left side, and this is now the right side. Just gotta do the same thing. we'll probably tape the leading edges at some point, just for durability and reinforcement. Yeah, this front area is gonna be interesting. I feel like to solve this, we might actually have to just cover this and see where it goes from there. To do that, I am going to create. All right, we are back. I am so sorry for the interruption, but hopefully see the camera work. All right, we're all set. So there's some chat going on. Opening the back. I'm not sure what that means. Have you ever tried putting the leading edges of the wings into an anhedral? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't think I have. In general, I don't like to use anhedral because it makes everything unstable. Ivan says on the back area, open it like an engine. Well, I mean, I could. I don't know if I want to put in the effort of doing that because it's probably gonna get destroyed real quick anyway. If I wanted to make like a proper display model of this, I do have black cardstock that I could use, right? I could cut out like a section here for the engine nozzle. It's on the top of the aircraft. It's if you look at the real design, it's just that way. So if I wanted to create like a scale model, I probably would do that, but that's not really the intent here. We're just trying to get something that flies really far and really fast. And so we're just kind of ignoring the engine portion here. So I know it's not true to what it is, but to save time and to work fast and not have to worry about things like that, I'm just going ahead and continuing the build. But definitely, if I wanted to make something scale, I would do that. I would highly recommend trying to model the engine, because that is a very important part of the airplane, right? Without an engine, you don't fly. So, like how I do my aircraft, I'm not sure what you mean, but like the leading edge down and then the trailing edge still level. Is that what you mean? Because if that's the case, that's more like a twist rather than anhedral, because anhedral means the entire wing is leveled up or down, right? That's anhedral or dihedral. Dihedral would be going up, anhedral would be going down. But if you mean twist, no, I am not adding twist to this because the real aircraft does not have twist here either. So, all right, we're gonna continue where we left off, which was building the, creating a 6.5 by 1.5 panel with a sharpened leading edge, or sharpened tip, not a leading edge. I don't know if we have enough paper to do that, so we'll see how much length we can get out of this. Alright, so that's 1.5, then going up 6.5. That's about right here where the line left off. I'm not sure we have enough space here, so let's see. All right, so this is gonna be interesting, because this isn't perfect, right? Part of it is truncated here. There are a couple of cuts that come over, so just gonna trim this off real quick. Yeah, real aircraft have stabilization, but stability isn't an issue for this plane because I'll be adding vertical stabilizers. I'm not doing twist because that gets really finicky. I don't want to deal with that. I'm just gonna straight up add vertical stabilizers to make it stable. So it's in response to somebody's comment on the chat. So I'm just gonna measure out 1.5 on the other side like I did, just to be a little bit more precise and consistent. Right, so this is, okay, so it might not actually be a problem, right? Because we're a little bit inboard of this edge right here. So this cut from a previous part might not matter. And we're doing this, right, trying to be efficient here with all the materials that we have. And that's just, you know, better for the environment, better for everything. Just be efficient with what you have. So I'm just gonna take my board here, put everything a little bit. Just move this over a tiny bit. Just gonna lift this up, move the cutter over, right, and line it up really nice. Just kind of cut that off real quick. All right, so that's it. It's nice when it's simple. For the bottom here, this is not the bottom, this is the top where we just modeled it. But as you can see from the top, we have some leftover material here. To fix that, I think we're gonna wrap another one on the bottom, but in order not to repeat that same process over and over again, right, you have to end it at some point. We're actually gonna trim off like a triangular section here to get like a sharp piece, right, like that matches the underside here. So to do that, I am going to try and center this, and once I have it where I like it, I am going to just kind of hold it in place and go on the other side, just like mark out using pencil the projection of this surface, right? So you see how like we got that shape? It wasn't based on any you know, explicit design requirements, like, you know, like a specific measurement, but we got that shape from the projection of the nose, right, onto a flat surface. So we got this angle right here. That's just the way I do things. So this is about 1 1/16, no, 1 1/8. So this is a half, quarter, eighth. So 1 1/8 inches off the leading edge here. And you know, like we get a rough shape, right? But then we actually have to constrain it and try and get like a precise measurement. So that's why we do what we do, right? Midpoint here is going to be about, or it's not going to be about, it's going to be exactly 3/4 of an inch. 1 1/2 divided by 2 is 3/4. That's how we get the midpoint there. And from the midpoint, you know, we connect to the points that we marked earlier. We have 2 areas marked out to be cut. Since these are shortcuts, it doesn't really matter if we use a cutting board or not. Actually, it does matter. I would recommend not using the cutting board for short cuts like this. It is not as effective or as efficient as just straight up using a scissor, right? Know when to use tools and when not to. And so now we have a tip here that matches. That's really nice. God, this is gonna be kind of difficult because it's not a very even curve surface. All right, so I'm just gonna grab some tape here and start to model this area. I'm just gonna move my camera a little bit. There we go. All right, so we're gonna grab a length of tape that's approximately the length of this, right? Just gonna put half of it on the surface, half of it off. I'm just gonna clean this off right here really quick. It takes like 2 seconds, but it'll make it build a little bit better. Right? Just gotta grab this piece of tape off. Yeah, and let me just, yeah, it's really annoying because these little pieces of tape, they get everywhere. I want to make sure they don't get on the carpet or things like that. So we have one side down. Let's actually just do the other side right now. And so this is because if you just tape one side, I'm afraid that, you know, we're gonna end up with that warping issue that we encountered on the back here. So if we tape both at the same time, we might not have to deal with that issue. So let's see how this goes. Just curving both sides in, eyeballing, making sure the back is symmetric. And just kind of holding both pieces of tape, and you know, my hands are like blocking the wing, right? It's really being held in place by the piece here that I'm holding, right? So because otherwise it'll fall. But if I hold this and, you know, hold this correctly, try and line up the tail end here. I can kind of mold it over, and once it's stuck a little bit, you can actually just finish off the tape, right? Taping procedure here. Yep. There we go. All right, so that wasn't too bad. That actually turned out quite nice. Now, the issue here is finishing off this this tape job, right? Because now you have to deal with this curve, right? This arch right here, and also this curve going this way. So this is really difficult to do nicely. And so I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. Might have to just go with the flow, right? But you know, this is tedious. All right, so we tape a little section at a time, right? A little bit at a time. So first we're gonna do that, and then just kind of keep on wrapping it around until we reach the end here. I don't know if I should do like mini pieces. I should probably just do mini pieces, right? Just go with the flow, right? All right, so I'm gonna match that length of tape. Is that about right? That's about right. All right. So grab that. put it here. And I'm just gonna tape over the front, right? And then evenly try to put it down onto the surface, right? All right, and so at this point, I feel like I might have to do some cuts just to be able to make it fit properly. I'm thinking like not like a you know, a cut like this, but more like a cut like this, right? So if we cut like this, then this part can fold down a little bit nicer. So I'm just gonna mark a straight line across where we want to make that cut. So yeah, like 1.5 centimeters off this edge right here where the tape ends. This is kind of arbitrary. You just kind of have to use your judgment for this. 1.5 centimeters. Right, and then we're gonna cut in diagonally. Let's try and match that tape edge right there. I mean, there's no scientific reason for that, but it's just a point of reference that's already there. We don't have to create another line or anything. I saw a comment going. Keep up the good work, guys. All right, thanks, Ivan. Thanks for supporting the stream. All right. All right, so just marked out some cut lines. Just gonna cut that. Cut that too, and now we're able to mold it a little bit closer, right, without any warping. All right, so we're gonna apply half the tape on, half the tape off, right, just like usual. I'm not gonna pinch it down yet. This is a little bit longer. I'm gonna have to fix that. Biggie. That's that. And so now it matches. I'll put it on the other side here. Make sure the back is symmetric. take this down again. And I'm going to try and do the same thing again. Right, repeat that process. And I think this might actually be the last time we need to do this. Because the aft portion here is pretty flat. We just need to facilitate one more curve. Or we could, actually, we might not even have to. Apologies again, phone overheated. Thanks for those who stick with the stream. I know this is a very annoying thing, but it is what it is. Just gonna continue where we left off. I'm not sure actually when my camera went offline and the stream stopped, but we left off at kind of just making these two cuts and then, you know, molding the second half here directly on. So now we're at the stage where it's like, okay, you know, the bottom side looks pretty decent actually. It's pretty smooth. And we had to make a relief cut here, if you notice that. And I was about to do it another time here, but I figured actually the curvature was not that much, not enough to warrant that. So I just taped it down directly. Now we're just finishing off this tail end here. Just gonna use scissors to trim this off. Alright, just want to grab that little bit there. There we go. Just trying to put the straps to the side. Alright, so now that that's done, we can properly finish off this fuselage. I feel like we're pretty much there. We might need to add a little bit more on the top, but overall, I think it's pretty much there. It's almost done. Like I said, this is a pretty simple, relatively simple build. It doesn't involve too many parts, but if you want to do it right, you still got to take time to really hone in on the details. And that's the end of that. So yeah, fuselage looks pretty nice actually. To fix the problem of the wing being a little bit thin, I think I'm just trying to think through some of the choices that I have to make here. I could reinforce it with like another strip of material. That'll make it a little bit thicker. But at the same time, I'm really tempted to see how it does just by itself like this. And also, you know, I was going to add something on the top here. Well, this is not the top, this is the bottom. I was going to add something on the top here to really balance out the thickness. As you can see, there's more stuff on the bottom, but I actually want to see how this does without any modification to the top. is that it actually looks really nice right now as it is. So I may or may not modify the top. I feel like if I do, it might be a little wonky. Right, because it's a pretty shallow part. If I try to raise it up, it might cause some more warping and disturbances. I'm not sure. Don't know if I want to go that route quite yet. Just looking at it right now and seeing what it needs. Pinch these 2 points down. We can get a really nice profile on the side. All right, just smoothing out some of the tape details down there. But I feel like for the sake of performance, you might just leave it as it is. Don't want to add too much weight and unnecessary aerodynamic obstacles. I'm just going to put a horizontal piece of tape over here. Just to smooth out some of the disturbances in this area. This is a very interesting side profile, if you notice. The bottom is a lot rounder and the top is flat. Kind of reminds me of a supercritical airfoil, if you know what that is. But yeah, this is very interesting. All right. Anyways, I think, yeah, I'll just leave the top blank. This looks a little bit different from the actual design, but then again, we're not building the actual design. I'm just kind of embrace, like what it is right now, with the flat top and the round bottom. I do need to make a handle still, right? Because it still needs to be thrown. So I do need a handle probably at this midpoint right here. So like a tiny thing down here, and then 2 vertical stabilizers and a reinforced leading edge, and then we should be done. So let's see about that handle. I have some templates from Rapid Prototype 004. gonna try and look into reusing some of the parts, so bear with me right now. I'm gonna go search if I have a template for the thing, for the handle. Alright, I found it. This is the template for the handle on the not y-axis. This is the Rapid Prototype 004. It's a very thin handle. Just focus there. But you can see the handle right there, right? The template for that, I'm gonna try and reuse that to save some time. And I think that's pretty smart, actually. Right, because so creating templates is really nice because you get like a collection, family of parts that are kind of, I'm sorry, this is very fun to do. But yeah, you get like a collection of parts that are already designed and made and you know are on other aircraft. So I'm sorry, this is just too fun to do. So anyways, we're gonna reuse the handle from the Prototype 004 right here, and we're gonna try and create another handle. So we have some scrap left over. Zoom in a little bit. There. All right, cool. So we have the scrap here. We have this handle that we want to make. I'm gonna align one edge with the side here. Just gonna trace out the template shape. So it ends from here to here. And I'm gonna copy that, or try and trace that shape, that handle. All right, try and cut this out. So these are pretty small lines, so I'm not gonna attempt to use the cutting board. There we go. Just gonna cut the rest of this. So we have our part. I just need to fold it into shape. Right, looks decent. And we want to fold this edge right here. Ooh, that's a bit rough. Yeah, that wasn't the best fold, but make do. The reason for that is, you know, this sharp trailing edge here, it meets right at the corner, so that isn't ideal. Right, so you're gonna get some error there, but hopefully it's not too much of a big deal. Just fold it out. And we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Just get a really precise fold. Let's actually switch. There we go. There we go. And there is our handle. Alright, just evening out some of the geometry here. Right. And let's see how this fits in. This is gonna ruin kind of the shape of the plane, but it's necessary if you want to fly it. So Alright, I'm trying to decide how to attach this handle right now. Could put it way aft. Or kind of in the middle. Not sure. Can also shorten it, to be honest. We don't need that much area. Right, because this handle was designed for a different airplane. So what if we modified it? Just trying out 2 different angles here. See which one works better. Maybe just truncate it like that. Not sure. Yeah, I need the extra holding area, so I might go with this aft one. So, how aft? Definitely not the full length. Not sure. Put this down and see. Just grabbing an eraser. Let's start with a little extra. Can always cut back. Alright, let's see how this fits. This looks a little bit better, a little cleaner. Alright, so I think I actually want to line up this tip here at the back with this, you know, this point right here to this point. And the reason for that is once you do that, this upsweep connects with the vertical stabilizers, which are going to come off here, right? Which is going to be very nice, I feel like. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, so I want to try and fix the geometry here. Right. There we go. And trim the aft portion here. All right, so we have a finalized handle shape, modified based on the original design for the 04 rapid prototype. And all right, now we can grab our pieces of tape here, which are going to be approximately this wrong. There we go. Whoops. Alright, that's a little too much. Just gonna put that there. And just kind of fold this back at the moment. Try and line this up. Alright, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to try and draw a point from here to here. This seems like about right. Just a small mark to let us know where to align this with. Alright, so that was perfect, except for the fact that this bottom plate isn't aligned with the aircraft axis. It's not perfectly aligned. So we're just shifting it around, trying to get a better alignment. You would prefer to have this aligned with the actual aircraft axis over what looks right, because if it isn't right, then your plane is going to have some minor yaw issues. So it's offset a tiny bit, but that is there to accommodate the fact that it needs to fly. All right. I apologize for that. Phone overheated again. You know the drill. All right. Let's try and see what we have here. So you put a handle on the bottom of the aircraft. This ruins the side profile, but it is necessary in order to have a plane that actually flies. Yeah, that's just how it is. I don't have a catapult or anything, so can't really rely on launchers all that much. Just gonna put another piece of tape here horizontally. Cut down the middle. Just gotta be really careful now. There we go. Looks nice. This is the handle on the bottom side, it ruins the look a little bit, but it is absolutely necessary for flight functionality. I mentioned that before, but I don't think there was anybody on the stream at the time, so I'm just repeating now for that one person who is on the stream. So I'm just gonna finish this handle off. Right, just seal it up. And then we'll be all set. All right, then we can just, you know, lightly trim off the excess here. And then here in the back, I'm just gonna take a piece of tape. And cut it down the middle here. Do the same thing that we did. Really secure that. Handle is really stuck in place. All right, that's a really nice handle. Feels nice enough, but not too much to negatively impact flight performance. So with that done, we're now going to work on, let's see where it balances actually. I'm just curious. I think it's at the right place. We'll have to adjust it in flight, or you know, during the flight test, but that said, we can actually start making the vertical stabilizers for this airplane. To do that, we need to create a template, right? And that's just to be able to have a nice, let's see. How do we do this? So, put the vertical stabilizer here, right directly on the wing. I think that might be enough. We could do small vertical stabilizers on the top and bottom. I'm trying to decide right now what exactly to do. So we could just have a single pair of vertical stabilizers on the root here of this outer wing panel. We could have it offset, which would probably perform better, but it looks a little worse, in my opinion. Whoops. We do make root mounted vertical stabilizers. We'll have to sweep it back a lot to get some area aft. So that's the only concern there. It is enough adequate yaw stability. You need to have yaw stability in order to fly well. So I think I'm gonna do root mounted just because it looks a little better. And we can actually bypass that problem by giving it a lot of sweep and then more area in the back. So I think we're gonna go that route. This might look a little bit weird, but I think it is generally speaking the better solution. It's better than no stabilizer at all, right? 'Cause, you know, the flying wings, they're not stable, but adding something will definitely help as long as it's after the center of lift. Which in this case, I feel like it's gonna be somewhere in the middle / forward portion here. So as long as the center of gravity is ahead of that, we should be okay. And the vertical stabilizers after that. So for that reason, I think root mounted might actually work. And also in this case with high alpha, the vortex is probably going to be generated at this location. So having a vertical surface there might help reduce some of that. So I think we're going to go with that. Just need to decide on a shape, right? Just trying to imagine right now. Imagine the shapes on this thing, right? So let's actually mark out where the root goes up to, right? From this tip to this tip. Right? And then we can draw out like a random shape to start off with. See what it looks like. That looks a little strange. It's a little too much. Alright, so this is a little too much. A little extreme. So let's try a bigger sweep angle. See what we can come up with. See how that does. Still looks a bit strange to me. Actually, let's keep the leading edge for a second. Or let's keep the trailing edge and then try and connect this. The leading edge, and then instead of having it be like that, I can actually curve this. how it fits. I feel like an angled tail would be a little bit better in this case. It fits in more. Alright, so I think the height is okay. Just need to make it a little bit more like this. Let's try this shape. I think that looks decent. I like this. It's not too obtrusive, it's just there. And I think it'll get the job done, to be honest. We don't need too big of a surface here. I feel like it looks proportional. All right, I think, yeah. Is there any way we want to constrain this shape? No, not really. I think it's good as the way it is. Just need to measure a couple of things here and there. Or I think we might need imperial units for this. We got 1.5 inches. Wow. Okay. I did not intend to eyeball that perfectly. Or actually the root is 1.5. Never mind. That makes sense. I wonder what the height is. So it looks like it's about 7/8. It's a little bit higher than that, but it's just barely. Trailing edge is 1 1/16, and then the leading edge is it's not a great number. 1.5, 1 3/4, a 16th past 3/4, 1 3/4. So 1.75 plus a 16th, which is 0.00625. 75625. That's how many inches. But anyways, that's not what we're here to do. We need to cut this out and make a template. For the vertical stabilizer, I'm just saying, I'm thinking gray, but I've also imagined it in a flight test orange color. Just because that's a little bit more exciting. I feel like I want to try that out and see how that goes. The flight test orange with potentially white accents. It just looks interesting a little bit, you know. And then when I close off the wing tips here, I'll reinforce the outboard here with white, probably with white cardstock, just to give it a little rigidity, you know, out here at the tip. So let's do that. Actually, for today, let's just make the vertical stabilizers. Let's see what they look like on the bottom. I'm curious to see what they look like on the bottom. Ooh, that might actually also work. We could mount these on the bottom and get it to be stable. Well, let's make the parts first and then see what fits our fancy, right? I feel like downwards would be cleaner because there's already a handle on the bottom. And so it'll all be on the bottom. And it'll look similar to the Rapid Prototype 003 here, which has downwards winglets. But in this case, we're also trying to do that again. So this is turning out okay. I didn't think it would turn out this well. It's so far so good. Just need to do a couple things here and there. Let's cut this shape out and create our template. I feel like if it's on the bottom though, it should be gray. If it's on the top, I don't know. Well, we have a lot of gray like scrap, so we could try making it on gray first. Let's see where we go from there. All right. Okay, so this isn't perfect, but I'll have to make do. We do want to be able to fold it over and have enough space for a handle. So I think here is about where we want to put it. Or not handle, but like, you know, attachment point, right? We do need an attachment point. How much should I use? I feel like 1/4 of an inch should be okay. All right, that's perfect. So just zoom in a little bit. Go. And for the handle, probably we could just make it go backwards. Do a solid 45-ish angle. And then for this, also 45-ish angle. Alright, so cut everything except the leading edge. use this and our other ruler to really do a precise fold. Pinch that. Fold it over. Ooh, just barely enough. Nice. All right. That is working to our advantage here. Let's trace out the other side. And just kind of trim this, cut it out. Right. So we have one vertical stabilizer. The handle needs to be folded still, but this is generally how it's gonna look. Actually, you know what? I actually like the gray on gray look, so I might not do the orange. I will do the orange, save it for another plane, probably the YX10 M1. But this is nice. I like this. I just need to make another one of these. I think we only need 2. We could do 4, but I think that might be a little bit overkill. Just take a scrap piece, see if we could fit it on. Ooh, just barely. Damn, that's a nice fit. All right, so we're using some of the scrap to create a vertical stabilizer. All right, trace out a shape. I just need to trim it, cut it out. Right, so that looks pretty nice. We're just gonna make the folds. This is a vertical stabilizer for the X47. So I saw somebody join the stream, so just for background information, that's that. So right now we're just folding the part into shape. That looks about right. Match up the edges. Kind of just fold it in half like that. Right. Oops. There we go. And now we just have to worry about the bottom here. Just gotta fold the handle. Right. And now we need to do the other side. Just like this. Yep. And that way we have two vertical stabilizers, right, that are ready to go. Will be mounted right here and right here. Depending on whether or not this is effective, we might need to add more vertical surface, but for now I think this should be enough. So usually I stream up until 2 hours, so we have like 7 more minutes. You can definitely do this in 7 minutes. Attach the vertical stabilizers. After that, just need to tape over the leading edge and close off the wing tip area. Right, so that's a pretty nice tape job. Just trim this off. Just take the top part. Right, so that's one done. trim this. That wasn't really nice. There we go, much better. Close off the top now. That's a clean cut, and we have a proper vertical stabilizer. So we can attach this now. Okay, that looks decent. I'm gonna mount it on the top surface here. All right, apologize for that. Phone overheated again. Just trying to get the camera in place. All right, just at about 2 hours. I'm gonna tape this, finish off the vertical stabilizers really quick, and then I'm gonna call it for today. Next time we'll just briefly close off the wingtips and we'll be all set. But for now, let's just finish off the vertical stabilizer. This is it. This is the second vertical stabilizer. It's a little too outboard. I need to move it in a little bit. Just trying to match what I did on the other side. This is pretty close, so it's not going to match up perfectly because the panels themselves are not that precise. So we're gonna have some overhang here, but that's okay, I guess. It's not like a huge deal breaker, but we do need to tape one last time. On the outside, this is to secure, it's the vertical stabilizer. So what you do is have the tape on the surface and then just lift it up like that, and then let it kind of do its own thing, fold in between. So now it's a really strong tape bond, and the excess you can just trim that off with an X-Acto knife. Really easy. Shoot, got stuck on the wool. Yeah. All right, and just gonna do the other side really quick. Same idea, right? Fold it in, grab a length of tape, apply half of it on, then fold it in half, just kind of fold it in, and get that adhesive on there. Just trim off the excess. It's gonna be kind of hard. Go from the back. All right. This is nearly complete. Right, this is, we made a lot of progress today just molding the fuselage. It doesn't sound like a lot, but to do things right, you do need to take the time and really just sit down and focus on it. And we did that today. We finished off the fuselage, built a handle, right? Built this cover piece down here, built 2 vertical stabilizers, and then mounted them on. And so right now the issues are the wing root is still a little bit messy, so it needs to be cleaned up, and the wingtips also need to be sealed up. And so we'll just do the finishing touches on this aircraft next time, and it should be ready end of next week, at the very beginning of the stream. It should be pretty quick, but after that I'll have to find another project to get started on, and so that'll be pretty exciting. I think somebody mentioned doing something retro, so I might look into doing like going back and doing some real life planes. I know I've been doing a lot of personal, like experimental designs and real life designs that kind of simulate, or designs like this that simulate real life designs, but I might actually start doing some, going back to like when I started this channel, I had some real life projects to mimic aircraft, like, you know, the F-22 and things like that. But thinking, going back a little bit more, retro. So we'll see what I decide to do next time. But next time we're definitely finishing off this plane, right? Sealing off the, you know, just finishing touches, right, to smooth things out, and then sealing off the wingtip. And we'll start a new project. I think there was one chat here. Well, at the end of the day, it's still a work of art. But you say the real one doesn't have anhedrals, yet you put stabilizers on it to keep it stable. If you put stabilizers on it, it is more visible. I'm working on mine as well while watching this. Well, I mean, anhedral is right. This is like, this is obvious. You are correct in that it is very visible, but it is visible for a reason, because it serves a clear function, right? With anhedral, you're not really controlling how like precise that anhedral is. You have to be like really sensitive to tiny changes, and that's just not my way of doing things. My way of doing things is, you know, it's there, you know it's gonna work, right? And vertical stabilizers do exactly that. There's no, you know, dependency on very precise, you know, twist, and it's called twist. It's not anhedral. Anhedral would be the entire wing surface, you know, being folded down or up. That's anhedral. Twist is when you have, you know, your cross section, you know, rotating as you come out, which, you know, does help in flying wings, but I don't want to do it that way. I have my own way of doing things. So if you want to do it your way, then by all means go ahead. But I'm going to do it my way and install vertical stabilizers. This is a clear-cut way. You know it's going to do something. So anyways, that's my design decision behind modifying this. So that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Next time we'll finish this off and start a new project. All right, take care, guys.